Luis, can you see the slideshow all right?
I sure can. Thank you for checking.
All right, good deal. And you can hear me?
I could hear you clear. Can you hear me clear?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, but that doesn't have them if its Wi-Fi doesn't work.
John, I see your Broncos in your Bronco in the back there.
That is actually my Bronco as it rolled
Oh,
off the assembly line.
That's what I thought. I see that. I don't think I've seen that one yet. So nice.
It's in a train car somewhere between Illinois and here right now.
Well, hopefully it gets here before the
With my
snow hits.
luck, it's going to get here tomorrow, right in time for the snowstorm.
Yeah, that could be very well be.
But I have the sale of my Explorer is set for Monday.
Well, you're running a tight schedule there. You might be Ubering it or something.
I've got my daughter's car, so I still have transportation, and she doesn't have her license yet. She's still on her permit.
Oh, well, then you're
So
safe.
I can get by for a few days on her car if need be.
Yep.
But the Explorer sold in 45 minutes.
Oh, well, there's the demand for used cars. Unbelievable. I wish I had a lot full of them.
The used car market is hot.
Yeah.
In the last 6 months, the blue book on my Explorer went up $5,000.
Perfect time to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Andrew.
Hello there, Dale. It is just about time. We're going to give people another minute or two to get settled in before we start.
Sure.
We can go ahead and get started here. Looks like people have made their way in. Thank all of you for coming to the open house. My name's Alan Maxwell, and I'm here with Luis Flores, and we work with Ramsey County Public Works. We're here to talk about our upcoming Hugo Road resurfacing project. So for those of you that are new to Microsoft Teams, the tools can be found in the upper right-hand portion of your Teams window next to that red Leave button. And while we discuss the project, we're going to have the microphones muted. We would ask that if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat box. That can be found in the tools bar, the second one from your left there is shown on this slide. And we will answer questions that were asked in the chat box following our presentation. After that, we will open up the mics for any additional questions that you all might have. So my role with Ramsey County is a project manager, and I have been overseeing the design of our Hugo Road improvements. I'll let Luis introduce himself.
Thanks, Alan. My name is Luis Flores. I work in traffic, but I also co-manage the pavement preservation system for Ramsey County.
Thank you, Luis. We're also joined by Dale Reed, White Bear Township Public Works Supervisor, as well as other county and township staff that have been involved with the project so far. Do any of you want to introduce yourselves as well?
Dale Reed, the Public Works Director with White Bear Township, just working with the county team on the design and review and such so far.
And then I'm John Mazzatello. I'm the Deputy Director of Public Works for Ramsey County. The project managers that oversee all of our design and construction projects like this one are all part of my staff. And I've been in contact with some of the residents over the past several months about issues on Hugo Road. So nice to meet everybody.
Well, thank you guys. This presentation is outlined on this slide, and Luis and I will walk you through an overview of the project, its need, and the design considerations that we have come to at this point. So a quick overview of the project. We will be looking to resurface Hugo Road from Park Avenue to County Road J, and this will cover roughly 1.7 miles of roadway. There's a relatively small amount of traffic that uses Hugo Road, about 930 vehicles per day, and that is compared to around 4,000 vehicles per day that use Otter Lake Road further west. The road is signed for 30 miles per hour south of the boat launch and 40 miles per hour north of the boat launch. Hugo Road in this area runs parallel to Highway 61, with the railroad running in between Hugo Road and Highway 61. As I'm sure you're all aware, the main need for this project will be to restore the surface to a good condition. Hugo Road currently has severe potholing, cracking, and crumbling pavement as shown on this slide, as well as standing water in areas which continues to worsen the pavement. With the last resurfacing project taking place between 1997 and 2000, Hugo Road has lived out its design life, and it is in need of a project now. For this resurfacing project, improvements will be paid for using the county gas tax and county wheelage tax dollars, which means no homeowners will be assessed as part of this project. Prior to our project, the township will be replacing water main from Taylor Avenue to Gaston Avenue as part of their own project. And following the township's improvements, we plan to resurface Hugo Road using a full-depth reclamation process. This is the same process that was used on County Road H2 last year in 2020 from Centerville Road to Bald Eagle Boulevard. This includes lowering the gate valves and manholes, grinding up the existing blacktop pavement, and mixing it with the underlying base material. This mix will add strength to the base of the roadway, and the contractor will come in and reshape the base to form the crown of the road and haul away any excess material left over from the site. Afterwards, the gate valves and manholes will be raised to the new surface, and the road will be repaved and restriped. The shoulders and side slopes will also be regraded to drain water to the ditch, and drain tile will be added in areas to help facilitate that drainage. The end result will leave Hugo Road with two 11-foot lanes with 1 foot of paved shoulder and 3 feet of gravel shoulder on either side. And currently, the lanes on Hugo Road vary from 11 feet to 12 feet, sometimes larger, with irregular shoulder widths. Traffic studies have shown that by striping the narrower travel lanes, traffic speed can be reduced, as the confined perception makes the driver want to slow down. So by striping 11-foot lanes on Hugo Road, we're hoping to see a reduction in speeding overall. And our goal will be to widen the gravel shoulders to 3 feet to allow more room for walkers and bikers on the side of the road. However, we recognize that towards the middle of the project, where the roadway gets pinched between the lake and the railroad, widening will not be possible, but it will be provided when able. Construction is scheduled to begin in late summer or fall of 2022, and the project should take between 6 to 8 weeks once it begins. And it will remain open to local traffic during that time. All other traffic will be detoured to Highway 61 while improvements are being made, and we will be updating our project webpage regularly, and this will be the best place for you to find any new information about the project. With that, I will pass it over to Luis to discuss other design considerations that we had during the project design. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. So additional considerations that went into this project involved the Bruce Vento Trail. As you may know, the Bruce Vento Trail is a 13-mile corridor that starts in St. Paul, 7 miles of which were worked on in 2005. So to be clear, the Bruce Vento Trail is a long-term project, about a decade out, and alternatives are still being studied. In the short term, due to the crumbling pavement at Hugo Road, this resurfacing project will be implemented next year. A link with more information on your bottom left there will be copied to the chat box. Another consideration that was looked at as part of this project was the Bald Eagle boat launch. Currently, the entrance is only for southbound traffic coming from the north. As the image shows, the existing signage which prohibits left turns for northbound traffic and right turns for exiting traffic from the boat launch will remain in place, as will two-way traffic on Hugo Road after this project is completed. Additional considerations looked at as part of this project were the parking areas. From Buffalo Street to County Road J, there are currently 6 northbound no boat trailer parking signs, as well as 5 southbound ones. In addition, there are 13 northbound and 13 southbound no parking signs. When combined with this being a 1.7 mile long project, that's about 1 no parking or no boat trailer parking sign each direction every 1/10 of a mile. In locations with no boat trailer parking signs, residents are allowed to park. And as part of this project, gravel shouldering will be added to define these parking areas. Also, the sign near Buffalo and Hugo Road that reads "No access to boat launch" will remain in place. So as an example of past full depth reclamation projects, here is Marshall Avenue from Snelling Avenue to Lexington Parkway, which took place in 2014. So on the left side, you see the before picture has the alligator cracking and potholing, and then to the right, the bike lanes as well as parking have been marked and defined. More recently, we have this project from last year along Otter Lake Road from Highway 96 to Schuneman Road in White Bear Township. It shows an improvement from visible crack seals and repairs on the top, the before picture, to a smooth pavement as seen on the bottom part, the after photo. And then finally, as an example of past projects, this is from County Road H2 from Centerville Road to Bald Eagle Boulevard. It was implemented last year as well. On the top photo, you see the cracking and faded paint as well as other pavement failures. The project resurfaced the pavement, updated markings, and the north pet ramps at this intersection, which is Cottage Road and County Road H2, were also updated. So to summarize, the Hugo Road resurfacing project will take place in the summer and fall of next year. and it's intended to address several road failures, as discussed. This project is funded through gas and wheelage tax, and there will be no property assessments. All signage at the boat launch entrance will remain in place, as will the no parking and no boat trailer parking signage. And two-way traffic will also remain in place after this project is completed. A link with more information on this project will be provided in the next slide, and it'll be put in the chat box as well. And with that, I thank you, and I welcome any questions and comments you might have.
All right, I'm just gonna look through the chat box here, see what we have.
Beth's got her hand raised, so you can unmute her mic. He's unable to.
Gotcha.
I believe we unmuted. Let's try it again. And now on your end, Beth, if you could unmute.
Sorry about that.
There we go.
No worries.
Quick question for you. I noticed on the postcard it said the road was going to be replaced from Park to Hugo. Oh, and I'm confused because Park to Buffalo was already redone. Buffalo up to Taylor has not. Is it strictly a Hugo Road project? Because that's not what the postcard says.
Sorry, Beth, I'm fighting teams a little bit here, trying to get to a good overview slide here for you. But
there we go.
All right, so the limits are shown here in the red, and we are coming around the corner, just doing that tail end of Park. But you're saying that more recently the area between Buffalo and Park has been redone?
Buffalo down to Park. Hang on a sec, there's Park on two ends there, so I'm thinking on the lake, because Buffalo up to Taylor didn't get done when the rest of the boulevard did.
Sorry, Beth, it's a little hard to hear you, but are you talking about this area? Can you see my mouse on the screen?
My mistake, I guess, when I said Park, I was thinking on the south end of Park rather than the north end. And I can see, I can see your project now. I was thinking it was
Okay.
Park that touches on Baldego Boulevard, which goes up to Taylor Street, East Baldego Boulevard.
Oh, gotcha.
That hasn't been done yet.
No, I believe that the Taylor Street that we're talking about is somewhere in here, talking about our Taylor to Gaston water main improvements, and it will be, just all the way through here along the extents of Hugo up until the county line.
Are you
Yeah,
also
County
going to
Road J.
replace the water pipes on Hugo Road?
So the township is going to get in and do some repairs from Taylor to Gaston, and maybe Dale would be a better person to answer that question.
Yeah, Beth, we're gonna replace that section between Taylor and Gaston. We've had, I want to say 9 breaks. I gotta make sure.
No.
So I want to make sure that we address that section with new piping and valves. So there's one home that serves, and gentleman's been very patient. And I want to make sure we get it addressed with this project, so we don't go tearing up a freshly redone road.
Exactly. That's what I was wondering on Hugo Road. They're having problems too, aren't they?
North of that, is what you're saying, Beth?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a lot. I don't have, and I've been there almost 12. We haven't had any since, but I don't have any records of any north end, and I really don't see any utility patches there. So I don't believe they've had many based on the records.
Okay. I know I see some guy commenting a lot on next door that there's always something going. His name's Steven said, if that helps.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I believe, I believe I know the gentleman that has been commenting, and I hope we're addressing his concerns.
Thanks, Dale.
Yep.
Thank you. That was a nice presentation, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I see a couple of comments in the chat here, so I will walk through those, and then it looks like Bill has his hand raised. Mike asks, will the road be extending into existing yards? No, Mike, that's not the plan. The existing road width is anywhere from 22 feet, 25 feet, 26 feet of blacktop with some shouldering on the sides, and we're looking to stay within that. It's really more of a maintenance project that's going to take out the bad that's there and put in the new, trying to minimize impacts outside of the roadway. And then I see a question from Tim. We need to consider traffic calming techniques. Yep. Certainly, Tim, people like to speed on the roads whenever they can. And part of our strategy here with the traffic calming techniques is that we're going to have our 11-foot lanes striped. And so currently we have a center line stripe with no outside striping. We're going to be adding that stripe on the outside, and that confined lane width has been shown to reduce traffic speeds. But with the type of project that this is, being one of our annual maintenance projects, really beyond that, we're not looking to do anything else. It's a pretty simple, straightforward, replace the bad with the good kind of a project.
I can unmute Bill. I
Yeah.
think he's been waiting a little while. So.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks
And
for
now
your patience, Bill.
And now you're muted on.
Sorry, we hit it at the same time, Luis.
Yeah.
Now I've unmuted you. Now you can unmute yourself.
Yeah. I don't want to touch it anymore.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, good.
Yes.
So I got a couple of questions. So I hesitate to call them storm sewers, but we kind of have those where I live that are more like just open manhole covers with the grading over them. They're not really curbed. I'm assuming you guys aren't touching those. They're just going to stay as they are because they're set back off the road about 5 feet. I'm at 5583 Hugo, which is just like 3/4 between Buffalo and a little lower than that where you're pointing more, but I'm assuming that's out of scope.
Yeah, good question, Bill. And yeah, we're not looking to go that far outside of the road bed. We're really trying to keep it within the pavement section where we can. And
That's
the
fine. That's
drain tile. Yep.
Yeah, it drains into the inlet that goes into the Bald Eagle today.
Some of those inlets look like they're right next to your guys' houses, and we're not
they're more like 5 feet off the road today.
Okay.
Like on the other side of the utility poles. So like if you have
Okay.
a utility pole on the west side of the road, then there's like about a foot, and then you get into then there's a giant, like I said, it's just a round grate that's open.
Right.
Another question I had was around, so the parking rules aren't going to change on the road today. So, if we're entertaining and we have people that want to stay, we can park their car on the other side of the street, on the east side of, or the west side of west side of Hugo, excuse me. Correct? As long as they're not have a boat trailer or something like that.
Right. No,
Okay.
the boat trailer parking signs
Yeah,
are
that's
going to continue, and we are going to be adding some gravel shouldering on the sides of the road.
That's good because we get a lot of standing water over in front of my house. So
Yeah.
Did you mean the east side of Hugo, or did you mean the west? Just verifying, Bill.
I'm sorry, it'd be the east side of Hugo because the west side of Hugo is where the houses are.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And I agree. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to ask if you had anything else, so go ahead.
I do. I have a couple other ones. So I agree with Tim around the speed monitoring. as crappy a road as Hugo is today, it's a built-in speed bump continually for the whole 1.7 miles. And I'm concerned today because you already get people that can't seem to control themselves on the unbelievably unlevel surface that is on Hugo today. And if we smooth that out, it's just going to become even faster. I mean, has there been any thoughts around putting up speed monitoring signs? I know we have them on the south side of the lake. I've seen them other places where, you know, it tags your miles per hour and flashes at you if you're going over it. Is there any thought about putting something like that in to at least try to help slow things down? Because that's one of the major concerns we have about resurfacing is that it's going to take the natural speed bumps out and just cause people to drive even faster.
Right. That's a good question, Bill, or good comment rather. And yeah, I believe that the solar paneled speed signs are something that we can look into and consider. They are on the south side and I think on the north side too. And so the striping is something that we're planning to do corridor wide to try and get that narrow perception and get people to slow down in speeding. If there's a 100% way that I could guarantee no speeding on a road, I'd love to design it, but unfortunately letting the bituminous road become a gravel road isn't a
No, I know it's not an option, trust me. Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think of other things. I mean, I know we can't put speed bumps in because it messes with plowing and everything else, but just I think those signs do impact drivers when it's flashing at them that they're going over the speed limit. So
okay.
In my opinion, I don't have any proof of that. And then you know,
I can offer a little bit more on that topic if you'd like, John.
Sure.
John Mazzatello. There have been a number of studies, and I personally participated in one when I worked for a municipality in the Twin Cities. We did a pre-construction and a post-construction speed assessment on a project where we narrowed the lanes from 12 feet to 11 feet. And even with the brand new pavement, the average speed dropped by about 4 miles an hour.
Well, that's good
just
news.
From having that narrowing done.
Okay.
So we can do some assessments post-construction and see what the speed is and make adjustments from there.
They have done some speed studies on Hugo. I know in the past because this subject came up in the trail open house as well. That, you know, concerned about speed on Hugo Road and you know, and a trail right next to it, which is my last conversation or last piece, and I'll shut up so someone else has a chance to talk. Is I hope you guys do work with the Vento Trail people, because your comment was widen when possible. There's parts that are impossible to widen. There's a spot where there's a utility pole and a fire hydrant. You could probably squeeze your road through there, and it's going to be like right on top of each other. But I don't see how you put a 6-foot trail in there. So yeah, anything you guys can do, because I mean, I'm not against the trail. I'm just against the trail if it's going to mean diverting people onto the road when they've been on a trail, and that's just not safe. But I like the fact that you guys are working with the Vento Trail people. And I know it's a long time out, but that's my biggest concern on that is the safety of walkers and bikers, that there's parts of the road today that I don't see how you can physically fit in a 6-foot wide trail and a road. Oh, and a 2-way road. Let me rephrase that. A 1-way road, maybe.
Yes. Well, you're not wrong, Bill. And yep, our parks department is heading up the Bruce Vento Trail project. It's early in its design stages, and certainly we're all going to be talking together over the next several years while we figure out what the best possibility for Hugo Road is in terms of trail. And for now, we'll do what we can with the pavement that we have.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I know I've seen hands raised for a while here.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
And Bill, as that process continues with trail, we're going to have the affected property owners, area residents involved in that process.
Here, Tim, I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and then Beth, I will come back to you. I think you're still unmuted, Tim.
You're still
Do you want to
muted,
try?
There, is that, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. I want to follow up on the idea of traffic calming. It seems to me to be a great opportunity to instill some type of traffic calming to reduce speeds. Traffic calming really is a lower cost, low design, technique to reduce speeds, to perhaps reduce the number of vehicles on the road, also make it safer, slower. I mean, simple things like, I think somebody brought up median islands, island gardens can be in place. You can do a slight chicane. Hugo Road does have a design that is a very straight, wide strip that people tend to want to accelerate down. It seems to be a great opportunity to put island gardens, median gardens. You could do a chicane, a little speed curve type of thing. Narrowing traffic lanes is a traffic calming technique. That's great. I think it's absolutely a great opportunity to add additional, could be bulbs, there are lane chokers, there are neck downs, a number of techniques that could be, again, low cost, low design to slow down vehicles.
I think those are great ideas, and it's things we've obviously looked into, but the constraints here as part of this project, the right of way and the amount of space we have to work with does not permit for that to happen. I apologize when my camera keeps going out and coming back in for some reason. So as part of this project, it'll be mostly resurfacing and everything else we talked about, but I am interested to come back and do a speed study just to check what our speeds are out there. And I'll also comment that, not that this makes it okay, but speeding has been going up just all over the place. And I think if you've been out on the road, in any road, it's just something we're just seeing everywhere. Something that's being talked about as part of workshops that I go to and everything else. But I could definitely look into where we could do any traffic calming, but it's not, other than narrowing the lanes, it's just not in the scope of this project. But it's something we're going to keep looking at, of course.
And just clarify for me why it's not in the scope of the project, because it's an annual maintenance project, or is it cost, or is it design issues?
Yes.
All of the above.
Yep. So this is part of our annual maintenance project. It's one of 6 or 7 other projects that we have going on now. And the ultimate goal will be to implement something in terms with the Bruce Vento Trail to get there. It's just that the pavement can't last until
I'm going to interrupt you though. I'm going to go back to the annual maintenance project concern. I assume H2 improvement was also an annual maintenance project. Is that correct?
Maybe if somebody else wants to field that, I actually started with the county after that project was completed.
Yes, that was part of the same program.
Okay, regardless of what type of program it is, I think there was a tremendous missed opportunity on H2 also to instill some type of traffic calming, which could have been a bump outs, could have been median islands. So clarify to me what the right of way is currently on Hugo Road. Let's say at the widest point, what's the current right of way, if I can ask?
At the widest point, I'm not sure what the widest point is, so much as what the narrowest point is, where the road gets pinched between the railroad, or I know that the railroad right of way, actually, our road is impeding on the railroad right of way. And when you're involved with the railroad, they have a lot of power. And so to redo a road that is already in place with pretty minimal changes, they can make it easier for you. But talking about wider scope changes within their railroad right away could be a project killer. And for a maintenance project that needs something to be done, this is what we can do for the moment, and are certainly open to other opportunities that could present itself for a more major change as part of our project down the road with Bruce Vento.
Sure. But I'm looking at the numbers and just some background. I spent 7 years working at City of Minneapolis street design section. The right of way for the build right now, or the width that you're going to use for the build right now is 4 feet for a shoulder, 11-foot lane, 4 feet for a shoulder. So that totals out to be 30 feet total that you're going to use for construction space. Isn't right of way typically about 60 feet?
Typically, yes, but in an area like this around the lake, it is certainly narrower, where you have houses that were built along the lake back in the day, and we're going to throw a road alongside of them for access, and then now the railroad and the highway is on the other side. It's kind of it's different than your typical 66-foot right away. Yeah.
Right, and I understand that, but what I'm getting at is I would imagine somewhere in that 1.7 mile strip, you have more than 30 feet of right of way. If you had 35 feet of right of way, or if you had 40 feet of right of way, or 45 feet of roadway, right of way, it seems you have a little flexibility to bump a lane to the right or left 2 feet and put an island garden in. I know it would probably be an obstruction. Is it an issue that plowing doesn't want to go around a median island, a garden?
I think that plowing can facilitate that, but in terms of this project just being a maintenance project, any of the more, like if we can't carry it throughout the entire corridor, we don't want to do a bit and a piece here and there. We'd like whatever design we move forward with as part of the Bruce Vento Trail to be an overall design that will fit. We wouldn't want to put something in early and then come 5 years down the road to find that that design is actually in conflict with something that works better for the overall trail, and now we go back and redo what we can. And so as in terms of this resurfacing maintenance project, our main goal is just to restore the pavement to what it was so that it could last through the time needed to get through funding and agency reviews and design for the ultimate design.
I can offer a couple of additional tidbits of information if I can have the mic for about 60 seconds.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I just called up the GIS and I've been measuring the right-of-way width. And what we typically have on a county road is what Alan had mentioned for a facility like this is 66 feet. The right-of-way for Hugo Road varies between 47 and 32 feet in width. But the bigger issue is that Hugo Road does not stay centered within that right-of-way. It meanders back and forth from the east to the west side of the right-of-way. So if we were going to do anything that required expansion of that pavement, we may actually be leaving the right-of-way or cause the road to be realigned, which puts it into a reconstruction mode, which is what's going to happen with the trail in the coming years. So we'd rather tear everything up, realign it, reconstruct it, rebuild it once. So this project is aimed at just fixing a deteriorated pavement that's going to last until the Vento Trail comes through.
And I did put a quick screenshot of what you're talking about, John, that I was able to dig up on GIS as well.
Thank you.
All right, is that I want to move on to Beth here, who's been very patient with us and had her hand raised for some time, but thank you for your comments, Tim.
Yep.
All right, you should be able to unmute now, Beth.
I was just curious because I have to admit I travel through the road every day because I park with my dog. Why don't you give us the railroad regard? I mean, they take taxpayer money to repair a lot of it, and there's a train. What does it run like twice a week? Why don't you give on the railroad?
Beth, your audio is breaking up quite a bit. It's I can't. Would you be able to type it into the chat?
I did. I actually typed
it
into the chat.
Okay, so this is the question in regards to the railroad right-of-way can take money for improvements of tracks from the taxpayers. Why not give us use of the right-of-way? The railroad being a private industry and not a government entity, and the fact that they own so much land where their rails are, they really are like a union or a power unto themselves, and they have a lot of sway into what happens on their property back to, when the original agreements with railroads were established. And so they'll work with you, but they're very careful as to what happens on their projects. So it is possible to obtain right away from them, but how much is depending on, you know, the safety of using their, you know, they don't want a train to derail and anything to happen. They would prefer it if we were as far away from their tracks as possible. That's why they usually have extensive right of ways, and in our pinch point area, that makes it all the more difficult here. Was there another piece to your question that you wanted to type, or else you may need to unmute again?
She also asked in the chat about, turn my camera on so people can see me, asked about whether the road would be turned back to the township at some point. And I'm not going to speak for the township as to whether they would accept it or not, but we're going to be turning back a different county road at the end of 2022 that is being reconstructed. And part of that discussion with the township was that the county is not going to fire a bunch of county roads at the township for turn back. So in the short term, no, I can't speak for what the future is going to bring. What the Bruce Vento Trail would do to Hugo Road or any of the other county roads around the Bald Eagle Lake area. But that's something that we're going to have to discuss with the township at a future date.
Turning back.
Sorry,
John,
Beth. Could you
do know
try
which
typing it?
roads you're- Sure.
My apologies. It's unfortunate when our internet doesn't want to work with us.
Beth, no, we don't.
Can't even know anything.
From a county policy on the turnbacks, if the county roads stay functioning as a county road, we're going to hold on to them. If something happens to a county road that renders it not possible to be a county road anymore, such as cul-de-sacking it, making it a one-way, things like that, then we have to talk to the gaining municipality about a turnback. That's what happened on South Shore Boulevard in White Bear Lake, the project we're building this coming summer. It went from a two-way to a one-way, and counties can't operate one-way streets, so it had to get turned back to the city of White Bear Lake and White Bear Township. So we don't really know which ones will be turned back, because we don't know what the future improvements are going to wind up being on these county roads.
Okay. Thank you, Beth. Bill, I see you've had your hand up for a while. I'm going to come back to you, and then we can come back to Tim. I see your hand is also up again. Reminder, Bill, unmute yourself. Looks like you have.
Yep.
And there's also a question in the chat, by the way, that we need to address at some point.
Yeah, so I didn't mean to have my hand up until that last column with a comment, which I found interesting, because attending the trail open house, which you guys did a much better job because you actually had a presentation, versus just sheets of paper laying over the place. Very 1990s. That, you know, that's an interesting comment around switching to a one-way, because that was a very loudly voiced option for the Vento Trail to turn Hugo into a one-way, which was met by the people. I don't even think they worked for the county. They seemed to be some consulting group that was there basically to keep the door open and listen to us, you know, somewhat. But you know, that if that is really an option, I think that should be explored as well, because there seemed to be kind of some kind of resistance to making it a one-way, because it was a county road, or a county road, versus saying we can switch it to a township road if it turns one way. Because, you know, same thing, like you said, on the south side of White Bear, that happened. But just another comment around working with that trail team, because in that pinch spot up by the park, that's the only way it's going to work, without having people wandering down a 2-lane street at, you know, 30 miles an hour when we know no one drives that slow. So more a comment than a question, but I didn't even know my hand was still up, so I'll take it back down.
All right. Well, no, thanks, Bill. Appreciate your comment. And at this point, yeah, I think that we're still very early in the Bruce Vento Trail, and whether or not that might happen down the road is, is a possibility. I believe, Luis, do we have the Bruce Vento link in the chat? I think that if we follow that link, it might be one of the options that was on there
I'll put
that
it on
people
there.
are talking about.
Yeah. Can you read Jay Schwartz's? Yeah, he's got he or she has two questions. I'll just go ahead and read it. I think we're all in agreement
Okay, thank
that
you.
we need to do this once. Have you looked at the timeframes of the sewer lines under Hugo Road? They are close to needing replacement with the large amount of residential construction that has been done in Hugo.
So yeah, that's a good question. I know typically your underground utilities are going to last a lot longer than your road surface, and so if we were to build a brand new road, that might last us 20 years. Spitballing averages here, where your underground utilities could go 80 years depending, and I think it's a measure of how many breaks we've been having in the network before we would consider that. But that really is more of a Dale Reed question with your township. So, do you have any insight on that, Dale?
Yeah, and I think the line that they're referencing is the MCS for interceptor line that's Met Council owns. That is, I'm assuming if they've done a lot of this in other communities that have been around. They'll line those. They just bypass that stuff and line, and that would be true of any of our own lines. But we've been televising, monitoring the condition of our lines, and that is, when it gets to a point where it would need some rehabilitation, it most likely be a lining project in that area. So, like we did on the south side of White Bear Lake. That helps, I hope.
They put both links on the chat.
Okay, thank you, Louise. Yeah, I see another comment from Jay Schwartz. The South Shore issue would also work on Hugo Road. We'd be interested in the cul-de-sac just north of the homes. Then you could turn this road over to the township. Again, that could be a possibility that comes out of the Bruce Vento Trail, because as early as we are with it, all options are on the table. But in terms of getting the road restored, we weren't able to go there as part of this project, but looking toward that ultimate design down the road.
And something that I'll concede just on that topic is the county doesn't always do the greatest job of communicating within our own departments. And we've got to do a better job on the Hugo Road, on the Vento Trail and the Hugo Road project, because they're interrelated and it's going to have infrastructure impacts to the residents. So we're going to do better at our communication on that. I've already talked to Scott Yonke, who's the project manager, and Public Works is going to be included in the design development meetings and the concept meetings that are going to go on from this point forward. So we're going to have a more unified answer. Bill, to your comments about holding meetings and providing information, we'll do a better job.
All right, thank you, John. Beth, I see that your hand is up. Did you have another question, or was that possibly from the last time? I'm going to try to unmute you here. So you can unmute yourself, or if you're still having connectivity issues, if you wanted to type it in, well, you can do that.
No, I'm just fine. I actually just made a comment that the roads that you're talking about are some standard size, and I thought Ramsey County didn't want standard size roads anymore.
Sorry, I think the question was, we're talking about standard sized roads, but that there wasn't.
I think she said in the chat, these are substandard sized roads. I think that was in comment to what John had mentioned in regards to, turning it over to the township, et cetera.
And to that, I would say she's right. By our current standards, they are substandard sized roads. A lot of our county roads are, but we have owned them for a long time. And they retain a purpose for being under county jurisdiction. But if, like I said, if those alterations take place, then we have to have a conversation with whatever the gaining municipality is. In this case, it would be the township. So roads like Hugo and South Shore, they've been county roads pretty much for their entire existence. That's why they're retained under county jurisdiction right now.
All right, thank you, Beth. And with that, I don't see any hands raised, and I'm scanning through the comments here, see if we have anything else. If anybody had any other questions and wanted to raise your hands, then we can give you a call or call on you here. Otherwise,
Can you go to the last page that has our contact info, Alan, as we say this, so they could write it down or copy it or whatnot?
Yes, I can do that.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Yeah, so our comment information or our contact information is here on the last sheet, and as well, the presentation here is being recorded. It will be uploaded to the Ramsey County website in the next couple of days here following our presentation, and so you can keep a lookout for that, or if you know anybody that wasn't able to attend that would be interested as your neighbors are talking, you can point them to the Ramsey County websites, future projects, Hugo Road, and we should have the information there. Was there anything else that anybody had? All right, I'm hearing none. Thank all of you for attending. We appreciate the turnout and hope you guys have a good rest of your night. We will talk to you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you, Alan, John, Luis. Bye, everyone.
You're welcome.